Hi there, in this video I'm going to be explaining how to use the Rows and Settings tab within the Bee Editor. From our previous video, we have started the YSite email template for the blue-purple color scheme. So what we're going to be doing is using this as our base and just explaining the next two tabs. So I've gone ahead and edited this, and once this loads up, I'll show you those two tabs here. Alright, so from here we have two tabs. We have Rows and Settings. Content we'll get into in the next video, but for now we're just going to be focusing on these two. So first off, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be trying to match this email template. So just trying to recreate this using the Bee Editor. Okay. So first off, we're going to make sure that the content area is set appropriately, which we can see that it's currently set to 600 pixels. That's what we want. And we can simply do that, change this by dragging this around, and you can see that that content area actually changes. And then inside of settings, we have the ability to control the default colors and some of the just generic defaults for the email template itself. So we're going to be changing the background color, the content area background color, default font, link color, those types of things. And so these are just going to be controlling the default colors and fonts for the email template. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to match the background color first. And so the background color in this email we can see is white. Okay, that's we can see that here in the outer edges. That's what's referred to as the background. And so currently we can see that as white, but if we change this to, let's say, just gray, we can kind of see what happens there. But we'll leave that set to white. Alright, now we need a content area background color. And as you can see, there's multiple different colors in here, but the one that that we're going to use for here is actually going to be transparent, because as you can see, this is all white, and we can specify specific colors for these additional rows, but in this case what we're going to be doing is just setting this as a transparent content area background color, so that way we can adjust those things as needed. Okay, so transparent, and so that's going to be what this is currently set to, but if we change this, notice how that coloring changes just in this area here, and so that's where the content area actually lives. Okay, and so in order to set this back to transparent, all we have to do is click on this little icon here, and that sets it back to transparent. Okay, and for a font, we're going to leave this set to Verdana. That's the YMCA brand compliant font. And then the link color, we're going to be using this blue here, because that is the same blue as down here in the unsubscribe link. Okay. Alright, so that's just going to control some of the defaults. So now let's actually get into building out the structure for this. And so first off, we need a row that has a two-column row, one for the logo and one for some of the contact information as well as the social media icons. So I think this row will do just fine. You can see it has a smaller content area for the logo and a larger content area for the actual the phone number and the social media links. So all we have to do is drag and drop this. So we'll drag it at the top of the email template, and then this default content area we're just going to delete. We're going to click on it and click the trash can. Okay, and so now we have our first row. Okay, and I'm actually going to click on show structure, so that way we can actually see the structure that we're building. Okay, and now we can see, if we jump back here, we need another row. This one's going to be blue, and it's going to be just a one-column row, because there's only one area of content here. So from here, we're going to go to rows, and they have a one-column content area right here. And so we're just going to drag this right below it, below that previous row. So now it says drag it here underneath that, and that's where we're going to drop that. All right, so that's in place. And now we have another row here, this time with an image. And so again, though, this is only a one-column row. So let's go ahead and put another column in place, or another row in place, And this time, again, it's just going to be one column. Alright, and then again, we can see that we have a content area down here. So let's go ahead and put another one column row in. Alright, so now we have 3. And then now let's also see down here we have a footer with a logo and address information. So again, we're going to use this 2 column row, and we're going to put that right there. And then lastly, we have just our unsubscribe note in the footer, so we're going to make sure that is in place as well. So that we're just going to need a 1 column row as well. So now we have, the basics of the structure in, and all we had to do was drag and drop. But now we need to make the colors correct, we need to make the spacing correct, and then we can start dropping in some of our content. Alright, so first off, we can see that there is a little bit of spacing around the logo itself, and there's a little bit of spacing at the bottom of this. So let's actually put a little bit of spacing at the bottom and a little bit of spacing at the top. So we're going to click into this row, and now we can see all these different settings inside of the rows tab for this. So this is going to be where you can control things like row background color and content background color specific to the row. So if we change this here, we can say, okay, row is going to be this color, but obviously that's not what we want, and then we can say the background color is white, and now we can see what that kind of looks like and what some of these things kind of change. Alright, so in this case, we're just going to leave these set to transparent, because this just needs to be white. Okay, and now we can see down here we have column properties. This is going to be where you can control individual properties for each column. So column 1 is going to be this, and column 2 is going to be this. So let's focus on column 1 for now, and let's give it a little bit of extra padding around the top and bottom. So padding is spacing between the edge of the row, where that blue line is here, and the content area. So currently there's no content in the content panel, but we're going to be putting some in there. Okay, so let's give this 15 pixels of padding top and bottom, and let's do the same thing to column 2. Okay, so now those match. Okay. Alright, and so now let's look at this row here. So this is going to be a blue color. So I have this color picker open currently, and so we can use this color picker here to pick out that specific color, just like that, and now I can copy and paste that color code. Okay, so now I'm going to click inside of this row here, and I'm going to specify a content background color. So all I'm going to have to do is highlight transparent and paste in my color code, and so now it has that color in it. Okay, now let's actually apply a little bit of that spacing that's on their top and bottom and actually all around. And so now we can see we have column properties, but only for one column. That's because this is only a 1 column row. And so let's go ahead and give this a little bit of padding. So let's actually turn off more options, and this is going to allow us to specify padding equally around all sides instead of specifying each of them individually. Alright, so I think 10 pixels of padding around all sides will do just fine. Alright. Now then we have another row here, and this is just going to have an image in it, and it's going to have just a white background. So now let's click into that, and we're going to specify a transparent background color because we already have the white in there. And then we're actually going to remove all padding because that image is flush up against the edges. Okay. Alright, and then now we're getting into the content area, so let's just specify a little bit of padding here. We don't need to specify a color. Okay. So again, we'll say 10 pixels of padding maybe, maybe a little bit more. Actually, I think we can probably turn on more options here and specify a little bit more on the right and the left as well. So let's say 20 on the left and right. Okay. All right, and then now we have the footer here. So we're going to specify a blue and a little bit of padding around the edges. Okay. So now let's grab that background color. Okay. There we go. Okay, now all we have to do is specify a little bit of extra padding around the tops and the edges there. Okay, and notice how that we're controlling the padding specific to this column. So this column we're not actually adding any padding to currently. So we've added a little bit of padding to the edges here, and now we're going to have to do the same thing to this one. All right. So in column 2, we have put a little bit of, we're going to match the top and bottom as column 1 is, so that way they're even, like this. All right, and then in column 2, we're going to actually leave the left padding to set to 0, just so that way we have just this spacing in between the text and the image. And then we're going to put a little bit of padding on the right, and we're going to just match that. So we want this edge here to match this edge. So that's going to be 20 pixels, and that's what we have set. Okay. All right, and now we just need to put in the color and the padding for this row for the unsubscribe link. So let's grab that color. Okay. There's that. And then we'll turn off more options, and we'll just give it a little bit of padding all the way around. So we'll say 10 pixels. And that's it. The one thing that we didn't explore in this for this specific template was border. So let me just show you that real quick. So border, let's click into this row here. And so border is just gonna, it's just a border. So we can specify, okay, we want a border here, and let's just make it black so that way we can see it. So there's just a border around the edge of the content area. And we can specify how thick the border is, what style of border it is. So currently it's set to solid, but we can do dotted and dashed. And then you can also say more options and then control each of those sides independently. So you can control the style, the thickness, and the color for each individual side. Alright, but in our case we don't need a border, so we're just going to leave this set to 0. Alright, so that concludes the rows and settings video. Next video is going to be getting into adding the content. Alright, thank you.